Good evening, Bulldog fans, and welcome in to River Country Sports Coaches Show. I'm TJ Vickers, your host. Joined along with me, as always, is head coach Kyler Hall. The Coaches Show is brought to you by our sponsor, West Haney Chevrolet of Live Oak, the Bulldog Bark, and Blast from the Past is brought to you by Howard Street Dry Cleaners. And thank you to Hardee's of Live Oak for providing our delicious meal for the Coaches Show. Coach, got a big win this past Friday night. Homecoming victory nonetheless, too. Had the Taylor County Bulldogs come over to town, and we came away with a 27-6 victory. What were your thoughts on last Friday night's game?
Extremely happy for the kids to get the payoff that they've been working so hard for, and finish the game, make a lot of big plays, really play complimentary football, and just see, the breath of fresh air after the game. They were excited as well. They should be. They've just continued, even through the rough patches and tough losses, they continue to work. So I think that was shown Friday night, and you add in homecoming, where there's things that can take your attention if you allow it. But I thought they enjoyed the festivities and everything that comes with homecoming, but I think they kept their focus where it needed to be. And I was really impressed with the focus before the game, halftime. It was just a little bit different. And then we were able to finish. So very proud of them. We knew that it was going to be a close game throughout, but we were able to pull away at the end. And, we got a little banged up, which was the negative part of it. But overall, a much-needed win. We kept ourselves alive. In the playoff picture, we won homecoming. We beat Perry, which is always a good thing. So very excited about the kids.
Well, so now that we won, we're going to have another parade this week, right? We're going to have another Bulldog Bash on Thursday evening. We're just going to keep on, right?
That was so. We love the bash, man. It's just a fun night. The players just sit on the field, relax, and watch all the different skits and the performances. They were great. I thought Kerry Black and Carla was taking over in the bash. I thought they did a great job. And with the parade, man, parade is always so fun. We ride the parade, which was new to me. When I got here, back in the day, we used to just sit
right,
First Federal and watch it. But it was one of those things, because one year, I said, we're not riding the parade, we're just going to watch it. And it just didn't turn out well. And we lost the game. So I'm like, we're going to schedule homecoming as late as we can to get a little bit of cool weather. But it was great. We had a huge crowd during the parade. And the game, a huge crowd.
Absolutely.
So it was homecoming was one of my most favorite games of the year. You get to see a lot of people come back. You got class reunions. So it was just overall great.
Well, and now one thing that I think is so cool that we're doing the Hall of Fame inductions as well. So Tyler Chambliss was one of the ones that was able to make it. Tom Daniels was able to make it as well. There's a few others that couldn't make it, but I think that really helps tie in the community with everything that we have going on during the homecoming week.
It does. We started the induction, ceremony, the luncheon. It's been, I think, our 5th year. Hunter was, leads up a lot of that. Abercrombie has done a great job. I think it really, has. You get to showcase them more than just, we used to do just the halftime deal. It was kind of rushed, but now you bring in your families, you get somebody to introduce you, you get a chance to get up there and speak and thank people. So it was great to see Chambliss and Tom, get inducted. Shane, Wheeler was unable to get there, but his mother was there to on his behalf, and then Willie Gardner was the other one. So it was a great class, but it was fun to listen to their stories. Tom always has. He remembers more random, facts than probably anybody I know. But it was a fun night, fun weekend, and sure glad we got the win.
I'm sure he probably remembers things about you that you have probably forgotten about yourself at this point.
He told a story of when I broke my hand in 8th grade. I punched the wall.
Doesn't sound like you.
I know. Shocker. But he I don't know how he knew that, but he knew all the details and everything. So
if
Tom has ears.
If you ever are looking for a good story and you have about 20 to 25 minutes to get through one, Tom Daniels is your man.
For sure.
That's it. We'll go ahead and get into our first commercial break here on the Coaches Show.
Hi, My name is Catherine Haney. My grandfather and my dad, Wes Haney, have been selling and servicing Chevrolets in the Swanee Valley area since 1968.
I'm here with my brothers, Weston and Jonathan. We want to tell you why Wes Haney Chevrolet is the best place to buy a car.
At Wes Haney Chevrolet comes down to two things: low prices and excellent customer service. You are a part of the family just as much as we are. Your happiness is my dad's first priority. He will always fight to make sure you get the best deal and the best experience.
My dad doesn't play games and he doesn't charge dealer fees, so we can always get you the best price. We have amazing incentives this month to put together a great deal on any Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. The best built, longest lasting vehicles on the road. We guarantee a better deal and customer experience than you can get anywhere else.
We would love to show you our beautiful selection of new and used vehicles. We are located in Live Oak, Florida on Highway 90 East. I can guarantee our dad will give you the best deal, and we are excited to earn your business.
This is Wes Haney, and as always, no dealer fees, no games. Come see my team at Wes Haney Chevrolet.
And welcome back to the Coach's Show with Coach Kyler Hall. The Coach's Show is brought to you by our sponsor, Wes Haney Chevrolet of Live Oak. Stop by for a new or used vehicle and all of your vehicle service needs. Well, Coach, something we were just talking about off mic here a second ago, talking about the orange and blue. It's got to feel good to beat the orange and blue. They're called the Bulldogs. We clearly have shown that we're the better Bulldogs, and they were orange and blue. You've never been a fan of the orange and blue, so to come out on top over an orange and blue team, it's got to feel good.
It's always a good feeling. There's a strong dislike, and we're just keeping it on the field. But man, there's a strong dislike for Perry, Taylor County, all the way back to middle school. It's always chippy. There's always trash talking, which I'm all about. I mean, that's part of it. But it's always good to beat those guys, and especially with them wearing orange and blue. And they were 6-1
Sure.
coming into the game.
Sure.
So that was a big win. They were senior heavy, especially at the skill position. So we knew there was challenges that came with those guys, but our guys, they came ready to play and finally put it all together, finished, kept the lead. So a lot of improvement that we've been searching for the last month.
Well, one of the things that you just talked about, Coach, we found a way to finish the game and put it out of reach with that second half performance. Outscored Taylor 20-6 in that second half, with 13 of the 20 points being scored in that fourth quarter, and that had to be just a pleasant change of pace for what we have seen this whole year.
Yeah, it was, and we were able to do that with a running game. So we started seeing their defense wear down. So when you see that, man, that's such an encouraging sign from an offensive standpoint, because now you can just run right at them, and that's what we're able to do. And that's as good a way to finish the game as any. Just physically dominate the other team, wear them down. The big run by MJ and HD that sealed the deal. We wanted the shutout, and we talked about the score that we gave up, but it was good to learn that lesson in a win. We've seen too many of those this year. I've learned that with a loss. But to be able to go back and correct and teach that moment. But again, all three phases of the game have their fair share of big plays.
Well, the offensive line, they definitely held their own all game. They only gave up one sack for a 2-yard loss. I believe it was close to 200 or right at 200 yards rushing on the evening. And it felt good to see them kind of impose their will over the course of the game. And one of the things on the sideline that I heard Coach Gaddy and the rest of your coaching staff just really trying to implore to your kids was, they're about to break.
Yes.
And let's just wear it on them. Let's put it on them and let's see them break. And I think you did finally see that with those couple touchdowns there.
Yeah, we did. And part of that too is eliminating, the self-inflicted wounds, the turnovers or penalties that set you back. So we're able to clean that piece up and just go out and play and run the ball right at them. So that was encouraging, and that's going to be something as we continue to move forward into this week and beyond is that running game. And then on defense, just being able to slow down and try to take that piece away. But you see how critical the running game can be offensively, and then if you're able to slow that down defensively, make them just be one-dimensional, it really puts them in a bind, and you can pin your ears back and put some pressure on the quarterback.
Well, we jokingly said we're going to keep everything the same as we did last week. But one thing that's already a little bit different from last week is this past Monday, you went on a scouting mission with whoever you maybe went with to Taylor County to watch them play. What is it? What looks did you see from Taylor County that night that maybe you saw on Friday night? Like, what advantage is it to see a team live in person play as opposed to just getting clips off of Huddle?
Yeah, much different. Anytime we can go and scout, we're going to jump at that opportunity, because film doesn't tell all of the truth. You can't really tell how big or fast a kid is on film. Seeing it in person, you can't beat it. So we went over and watched them play Florida High, which I was a little surprised they didn't reschedule that game. The FHSA made that announcement
Mhm.
that day, which was a little tight, but I was surprised they didn't push that till after week 11. But to go and see them, we knew they were going to be aggressive defensively. That's kind of, been what they were hanging their hat on, is putting pressure on the quarterback, slowing down the run. They were physical, good athletes on the back end, pretty much man-to-man coverage. And then offensively, we knew we had to stop number 5, their running back,
Mhm.
and number 1, their top receiver. That was going to be the key to slowing those guys down. Thought for the most part we kept the running game in check. And I think number 1 had maybe 2 or 3 catches. One of them was the lateral, the first play of the game. So he really didn't make a big impact. And when you take away those things, the big play in the passing game, which they did get the one, that took away a lot of their offense.
Going into the game, coach, what was your message to the team?
So before we left the field or the school, to get on the bus and go do the Bulldog Walk, we just talked about everything we do. Let's raise the temperature just a little bit, from the way we do the Bulldog Walk, the way we walk the field, the way we are in the locker room in pregame, our pregame routine, the first group, how we take the field, just everything that we do, all those the small, details of offense, defense, special team. Let's lock in a little bit more. Let's do things with a little bit more purpose. And so when I see their focus the way it was in the locker room before the game and at halftime, I knew they were responding. And so it's just the small things, and it's nothing drastic. It's just the things that we have repped since, back in the spring. Man, let's do these better. Let's do them more efficiently. And we did that. And you saw the result. But those are the things in the games we've lost where whether it's, special teams blunders or penalties or giving up big plays, they're all small details within the assignments. And so that's where I think we really improved. And that was the message. Let's just do all those things. Let's turn the heat up, put the pressure on them, and then let's finish.
Well, that's one thing that I found so encouraging about this past Friday night's game. You give up. I don't want to necessarily say it's a fluke touchdown, but I mean the 4th and 6, 4th and
Yeah.
7. Like where they go over the top and they get the touchdown. More times than not, that's not going to end up being the result that
Right.
happens. But nonetheless, that's the only time that it does matter, and
Yeah.
that happened. But the way that your team responded and didn't let that impact the rest of the game, and
Yes.
kind of say, oh dear, here we go again.
Right.
They're kind of able to mentally and physically bounce back from that and hold them out of the end zone the rest of the game.
Yeah, and that was probably everybody's first thought.
Yeah.
Like even with me, it was frustrating because we had the 2 score lead, and then we give up, which a fluke touchdown. But I talked to MJ at halftime. I was like, listen, they're going to keep trying you because they're seeing you get a little bit lazy at times, and it's not even the lazy because he plays so many plays.
Mhm.
So you can, get a tendency where getting in a good stance, you just kind of stand up a little bit, or you don't get back with the urgency that you're supposed to. So on the play that they got us, he got a little bit undisciplined with his eyes. He looked, in the backfield, and just that little bit of hesitation allowed the separation. But more times than not, MJ is going to make that play, and we know that. Um, but again, it's one of those lessons. It's good to learn that in a win, and not only that, but to see the response that we made from that point on, because we could let the game get away just as easily as as we did respond. So that was encouraging. That shows growth and maturity. So those are going to be the type of things that we have to continue to improve upon.
Plenty more coming up here on the Coaches Show. For now, let's join Keith Hunter for a Bulldog Bark.
Hi, I'm Keith Hunter, and this is the Bulldog Bark. And joining me on tonight's Bulldog Bark is
Hunter Abercrombie.
Oh, Abercrombie. How you doing, man? It's been a long time. How you been?
Doing good, thank you.
Okay. Well, again, another season.
Yes, sir.
And are you running? What are you doing? What's your capacity with Bulldog football?
So I do the music, the in-game and pre-game music. So I do it if you like it. If you don't like it, it's somebody else doing it.
Right. Now, Abercrombie, that name rings a bell here,
yes, sir.
Obviously. And you graduated from Swanee back when?
2002.
Okay, 2002, man. It's been 22 years ago since
yes, sir.
you wore the green and white. I still see you wearing the green and white as well.
That's right.
Now, you told me that you played on the Bulldog baseball team.
That's right, yes, sir.
Who was the coach back then?
Ronnie Gray was our coach back then.
Okay.
Coach Gray.
Now, you know, I played baseball also here.
Yes, sir.
In Swanee. I finished in '84. Coach Terry Mixon was our
Oh,
coach,
yeah.
and Coach Randy Etheridge.
Yes,
so
sir.
both of them were our coach. We had some good ball players though back then.
Oh, I'm sure, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Know the history well, yes.
Yeah, Mike Martinez, Buddy
Yes.
Williams, David Woods, Tom Lashley. A lot of those guys went on to actually even play in.
Yes, sir, absolutely. A lot of good athletes.
Yeah, definitely. So, did you take your baseball beyond Swanee?
Yes, sir, I did. I played 2 years at Tallahassee Community College and then 2 years at Mercer University in Macon, Georgia.
Okay, all right. Okay, so you didn't go to ABAC. You know, Coach Mixon was over there in Macon as well, but at ABAC. Well, Tifton.
Yeah, Tifton. He was a little bit south. Yes, sir. No, I stayed a little bit further north.
Okay, did y'all play them?
Sir?
Did y'all play against ABAC every now and then?
We did play ABAC when I was at TCC. Surely did. Yes, sir.
Now, how was that? How did that turn out for you?
It went good for our side.
Okay. Now, what position did you play in baseball?
I was a left-handed pitcher.
Pitcher?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, pitcher's like quarterback.
That's right. Yeah, a little bit. Set the tone.
Yeah, right. How would you equate those two if you had to equate those?
I didn't play quarterback, so but just watching and kind of knowing the position, I think, just kind of set the tone for your team. You know, your attitude, your demeanor.
Right.
Everybody feeds off of that. The guy on the mound's the general, kind of like the quarterback.
Right. Okay. And again, your involvement with Bulldog baseball.
Yes, sir.
You know, like they always say, like football. Those games teach you about life.
Absolutely.
Right. And you can take those life lessons you learn in baseball.
Absolutely.
Do you still notice that to this day?
Oh, 100%. Just fight through adversity. Just doing whatever you can. You know, fight through adversity, work hard. You know, stay with it. Good things happen.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Definitely true. We're doing Bulldog football for 2020. How long have you been out here doing Bulldog football?
Oh man, so I started working at the school in 2010. I was the athletic director, so ever since then, 14 years now, I've been doing something on Friday nights.
Right.
The jobs have changed, but I've been doing something.
All right, so now are you still AD now, or?
No, sir, no, not anymore. I left the school system and turned that over to Frank Allen, so he gets that stress.
Okay. Now, when I was here back with the athletic director, I remember was Coach Cato.
Probably Coach Cato. I was going to say probably Coach Cato.
Yeah.
Then Coach Cannon after him. And,
okay.
Yes, sir. Then Coach Etheridge.
Okay, that is right. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I got a Coach Cato story. You know, we played back in. I was always a baseball player as well, but even though I used to pitch, he was like catfish. I want you to come out and be the quarterback. You know, that's why I thought about that. Now, if you had been out there, Coach Cato would have got you to come on that field.
Yeah, he was my youth league basketball coach.
Was?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you remember all that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So as you look back, who are some of the coaches that have inspired you? I mean, whether Coach Cato or whoever?
Well, so when I was in middle school, my baseball coach was Alan Bonds.
Okay.
Gary Edwards was like a big brother to me. And then Coach Gray, man, who's to this day the best baseball coach I've ever had. Of course, I had Coach Mixon, Coach Robinson, like everybody did. And man, my dad coached me for a long time. So all of those guys, Coach Walls was the football coach. So when I was in high school, we had great football teams. Coach Hall was a class ahead of me, so that group was obviously great. 1999, the state runner-up. So a lot of, anybody that came when I was coming up, we were very blessed with the coaches we had in town.
And you're taking me through memory lane. You mentioned Alan Bonds.
Yeah.
Alan played with me. He was a class of '85.
Yes, sir.
A great second baseman.
Yes, sir.
And I'm telling you, he could hit.
Yes, sir.
Alan was tough.
Yes, sir.
And if I had to go to war with anybody, I'm taking him with me.
Right.
That was one tough.
Yes,
he was
sir.
tough.
Absolutely.
All right. And then you mentioned, of course, Gary Edwards. Late Gary Edwards. Gary was a class of '85, and we went to Tallahassee together. He was at FAM, I was at Florida State.
Yeah.
We stayed in the same apartment complex and worked at Winn-Dixie at the same time.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, all those names, man, that you call. Coach Mixon.
Yep.
I mean, Coach Mixon was our baseball coach. Coach Etheridge. So like you said, man, you bring up some great names.
Yes, sir.
And that's just a reflection of the athletic community that we have here in Swanee
The tradition,
County.
that's right.
Tradition.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Well, anyway, when you look back, maybe we still talk about Coach Pittman now to this day.
Yeah.
We still talk about all these coaches that you mentioned.
Yep.
20 years from now, what do you want them to think about you, Hunter?
Oh man, the kids that I coach now, I hope they knew I loved them. You know, the people. There's a saying: the people that were hardest on you were the ones that really cared about you.
Right.
And that's it. Just want them to be good people, and just
hope they know that we loved them and we wanted the best for them.
Yeah, man, that's well said. Well
Yes,
said.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you again for joining.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, man. All right, I want to thank you, Hunter Abercrombie, for joining me on the Bulldog Bark. Baseball, the class of 2002, and went on to become the athletic director at Swanee High School. You know, speaking of baseball, so many great baseball players come to mind. Mike Jones, Donnie Allen, Phil Washington, Kenny Williams. Man, I could go on. Ronnie the Snake Neal, Scott Barnes. Just a lot of great players that have come through Swanee High. A lot of them played football as well. But again, just want to just say thank you, Hunter Abercrombie, for joining me on the Bulldog Bark. Just talking about baseball just conjures up a lot of great baseball memories. You've been listening to a Bulldog Bark. I'm Keith Hunter, and we'll see you next week, right here on rivercountrysports.com.
Do you have a valuable garment that requires professional and quality dry cleaning? Your jeans need heavy starch, your slacks need hemming, or your wedding gown needs preserving? Hop on over to one of the 5 convenient locations: Howard Street Dry Clean in Live Oak, Town and Country Dry Clean in Perry, Madison Cleaners in Madison, or one of the 2 Cloud Cleaner locations in Lake City. All 5 locations have a convenient full-service drive-thru to better serve you. Each visit is greeted with a smile by a friendly and knowledgeable staff member. When you pick up your items, your satisfaction is guaranteed. As always, your business is appreciated. Visit one of the 5 locations today to ensure you are dressed to impress.
Welcome back to the Coaches Show with Coach Kyler Hall. Coach, we talked about how your offensive line really set the tone for the entire game, but defensive line certainly held their own as well. I believe they had 6 sacks on the evening, held Taylor to 1 of 11 on third down. Now, that's a full collective unit nonetheless, but, you know, with a unit like Taylor County that you said wants to kind of impose their will, they want to kind of run the ball. You did your parts on first and second down where you kind of got them into more predictable situations on that third and maybe on some fourth downs that you're allowed to kind of do what you want to do, but defense definitely held their own this past Friday.
Yeah, that was by far the best we've been on third downs. Not even close, probably. I know that was the most sacks we had had. We switched back to our 3-3 stack. The second half, we were hoping they were going to be a little bit more pass heavy, which we haven't been our 3-man front probably in the last 3 weeks. So that was a good switch up, and it allowed us to get some pressure in front, backers on the blitzes. So that was encouraging to see. So we'll continue to have that in, and I think it just allows some of our runners that can get penetration and get after the quarterback. I think that helps that. And then you look at Delwin, what he's done up front, Kyler Watson, both the Watson boys, rolling in, Hagedorn, Beasley. So we've got a pretty good rotation that we've had up front, and I think that was the best that we have played Friday night.
Well, it helps to have healthy players out there to
For
be able to
sure.
rotate in. And also, too, I think maybe, again, it's maybe out of necessity of the way players have had to play maybe in different roles. If you had a full roster, maybe some of these guys wouldn't have played the roles that they've had to play. But because the way this year has gone, they've played some different roles. And so now that allows you to be a little more versatile with the way that you have your looks.
Yeah, for sure. So it's allowed us to create some depth and guys get some valuable playing time. And then we knew once we got everybody back healthy that was going to give us a spark, and in hopes that we play better. So I think you saw that Friday. We need to continue to do that, especially up front. I mean, again, I know it's cliche, but that's where it all starts, is in the trenches. But the more fresh bodies we can have, especially in the fourth quarter, hopefully that will start to pay off even more.
This was a very impressive win we had, no doubt about that. Like you said, probably the best ground game we've had this year so far. Defense definitely brought their own this past Friday night. What's one thing that you want to see cleaned up?
First down offensively, which we talked about that yesterday in coaches' meetings. Many times we put ourselves behind in the chains, whether it's a penalty, or just a negative, loss on first down. So getting, just staying with the chains, second medium, second, 5 to 6. That way you get that third down that's manageable, because when you get into, second and 11, third and 13, like that, there's not many play calls for that. So just staying ahead of the chains offensively, and then defensively, we still didn't, so looking at stopping the run, the counter, and the power. When we get a down block, defensive ends got to squeeze and they've got to collide and keep those guys off our linebackers. I don't think we did that very well at times. Then on the back end, we got forced in a couple times because there were some guys that were open and they missed them. So we got to continue to get better on the back end, whether it's, in our man-to-man coverage, in our zone looks. And then special teams, I think AJ is playing as confident as he's ever been. I want to see us get back. Hopefully we don't have a lot of kickoff returns that we have to jump into, but getting back to a little bit better field position out of that. And if we can continue to, whether blocking a punt or get big punt return yardage, that's such a huge, part of the game. And we saw what it did Friday with that punt block.
Sure, absolutely. Let's take a stroll down memory lane with Keith Hunter on a Blast from the Past. The Blast from the Past is sponsored by Howard Street Dry Cleaners.
Time for a dog blast. Compliments of the class of 1983. We underachieved, but make no doubt about it, the talent was rich. This is a dog blast.
With number 10, C.J. Jones. C.J., I believe, will take it at the 15. He's to the 20. He may get to the 25. He breaks out in the open. He gets to the 27-yard line. Dogs will hand off to number 10, C.J. Jones. Jones maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage. No gain. Hunter reverse handoff. Over to the far side of the field to number 33, Warren Sheffield. Sheffield gets close to the 31, but not enough for the first down. It'll be a fourth down. I called it right. They are going for first down. It's fourth down and 1 on the 36-yard line. Hunter, the quarterback. Hunter will hand off to number 33, Warren Sheffield. Warren Sheffield, first down. He gets over the 40, coming to the near side. He catches it. Ronnie Neal inside the east side territory. And I believe there was 2 receivers right in on that. Keith McRae on the tackle. 2 of our receivers to the near side of the field. Ronnie Neal catches all is in east side territory at the 48-yard line, near side of the field. So I believe it's fourth down and 1. The Dogs will go for it once more. Playing Gutty Hunter. Hunter will keep the ball. Hunter gets close to the 45-yard line. I believe that's the first down. That's number 24 in motion to the far side. Hunter will hand off to number 10. 10 will go all the way. No, he may be tackled. He gets to the 10-yard line. He is all the way. All the way for the Dogs. Number 10, C.J. Jones.
This has been a dog blast.
Do you have a valuable garment that requires professional and quality dry cleaning? Your jeans need heavy starch, your slacks need hemming, or your wedding gown needs preserving? Hop on over to one of the 5 convenient locations, Howard Street Dry Clean in Live Oak, Town & Country Dry Clean in Perry, Madison Cleaners in Madison, or one of the 2 Cloud Cleaner locations in Lake City. All 5 locations have a convenient full-service drive-thru to better serve you. Each visit is greeted with a smile by a friendly and knowledgeable staff member. When you pick up your items, your satisfaction is guaranteed. As always, your business is appreciated. Visit one of the 5 locations today to ensure you are dressed to impress.
Hi, Hi, my name is Catherine Haney. My grandfather and my dad, Wes Haney, have been selling and servicing Chevrolets in the Swanee Valley area since 1968.
I'm here with my brothers, Weston and Jonathan. We want to tell you why Wes Haney Chevrolet is the best place to buy a car.
At Wes Haney Chevrolet comes down to two things: low prices and excellent customer service. You are a part of the family just as much as we are. Your happiness is my dad's first priority. He will always fight to make sure you get the best deal and the best experience.
My dad doesn't play games and he doesn't charge dealer fees, so we can always get you the best price. We have amazing incentives this month to put together a great deal on any Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. The best built, longest lasting vehicles on the road. We guarantee a better deal and customer experience than you can get anywhere else.
We would love to show you our beautiful selection of new and used vehicles. We are located in Live Oak, Florida on Highway 90 East. I can guarantee our dad will give you the best deal, and we are excited to earn your business.
This is Wes Haney, and as always, no dealer fees, no games. Come see my team at Wes Haney Chevrolet.
And welcome back to the Coach Show with Coach Kyler Hall. The Coach Show is brought to you by our sponsor, Wes Haney Chevrolet in Live Oak. Stop by and check out their great inventory of new and used vehicles. You'll be glad that you did. And thank you to Hardee's of Live Oak for providing our delicious meal for the Coach Show. Coach, what do we say about that chicken?
Gooder than a mug.
Gooder than a mug. Man, I love hearing that. There's just
So good.
There's just small things
Honey
that
mustard.
make you so happy.
I've been looking forward to this all day.
So you just sit around and like
When I get hungry then, I
practice.
was like,
Yeah,
you know what? I got the chicken tenders tonight. So it gets me
Hardee's is
through.
gonna treat you.
Absolutely.
That's it.
So
A nice little treat to end the day. It makes it even better coming off a homecoming
Oh,
victory,
that
right?
tastes a little bit better with the
Oh, a
win.
little sweeter, a little sweeter. Well, speaking of this big homecoming victory, Coach, what is your message to the team, and just how do we keep this momentum going now that we're heading back out on the road?
Yeah. So now the challenge is coming off of a win, which we had the one earlier against Lafayette, and we didn't respond. Not that we didn't respond well. We had Madison, I believe it was that next game, but now it's okay. You busted your butt to get back healthy, to finish a game and play the way we did. But there's still so much. We watched film today. There's so many things that we have to improve and correct. So one, you don't get complacent, you don't get, satisfied, you don't have the attitude or mentality. Well, we're here now. We're like, we're far from that. And I think our kids realize that. And then understanding we have to go on the road. We got to go to Duval, which is, I've never been to Duval and played a public school, and it's not been tough. So that's always a challenge. It's an earlier kickoff, so everything's sped up a little bit. So there's our focus has to be really on point, and they're the type of team where if you let them hang around, which we've seen that this year, what happens when you let teams hang around? You end up getting beat. So they're a team you have to get on early. You got to take away their confidence. So it's back to work today. Preparing for their passing game and what they do defensively. So there's no time to, Friday was great, but Friday's behind us. Our goal is to get to 1-0 this week, stay alive in the playoff picture, and just continue to play better. And I think if we do that, we'll have a good result Friday night.
What's your coaching philosophy as far as allowing your kids to enjoy the victory, but then having them turn to the next chapter? So what does that look like? Okay, we're riding high at about 10 o'clock on a Friday night. We got the victory. Now, when do we have to turn the page? How long do they get to celebrate? And then it's on to Cincinnati, as Coach Belichick would once say.
Yeah. So with the way we do our film exchange, by Saturday morning, Saturday at noon at the latest, our game film is up. Our opponent's game film is up. So it's Saturday is kind of that transition. You're all right. You're recovering. You're resting up. You watch a little bit of film, and then come Sunday, like our focus is moved forward to the next opponent. Monday, is our film day. We watched a little bit of Friday night's film. Show them some of Atlantic Coast. So, you have that Friday, Saturday, then you wake up Sunday and you get into the day. Then we start that transition. From a player standpoint, coaches, I mean, almost immediately after the game,
Sure.
our minds are thinking about the next opponent. But you wanted to enjoy it because of, again, what they've been through and what they've continued to fight through. And they were excited after the game, but now let's go do it again Friday and have that same feeling. So that's the goal.
We're trying to ride this momentum and to maybe see what the rest of this season brings into. Like you said, Coach, this is kind of wide open for
It
right
is.
now. The teams in this area, it's kind of it's still up for grabs for a lot of spots there. So kind of update us on the playoff situation and what does it kind of look like where we stand right now?
So last Tuesday, the FHSA rankings come out every Tuesday, so we'll see the update tomorrow. But we were sitting in the 11th seed. They take the top 8. So there's 3 district champions that have already been, established. Gabi in our district, Rains in their district, and then Bay out of Panama City out west. So those 3 are automatically in. I think Baker County is going to be in, so that's 4. The Bishop Kenny district, I want to say they have like a 3-way tie, and that will come down, I believe, to the Max Preps rankings. I don't know the formula, but Bishop Kenny's probably going to be that district champ. So there's 5 teams there, and then after that it's wide open. Um, Obviously, we need to continue to win, but you look at us and Wakulla playing at the end of the year.
Sure.
That could set up to be a huge game. Um, but there's a lot of, just from a record standpoint, there's a lot of teams with not a great record. The thing that helps us is our strength of schedule. We have by far the highest rated strength of schedule. I think we were like a 5 point something last week. And, there's some teams with negative, strength of schedule rating. So that's helping us playing the schedule that we have. We need to continue to win. And I believe, if we do win out, I believe we have a great chance to get in.
Well, just some of the teams that you just named there, Coach. Gabi within our district. We know what happened with that Gabi game where we felt like, we were on the road. We had to lead late. We probably should have came away with that win,
For
all
sure.
things considered. You hear Bishop Kenny, which
Yeah.
is our preseason classic,
Yes.
game that we
Same
had.
same
And,
deal.
I remember us talking about that after week 1 or, going into week 1 where it's like, hey, we're scheduling these games for a reason. These teams are going to give us a certain look. And
Yeah.
long and behold, we might end up facing them again later on,
Yes.
sometimes for playoffs. And then like you talk about, Coach, talking about that Wakulla game here these last few years, it's basically been the winner of that game is the winner of the district.
Yeah.
That won't be the case this year, but nonetheless, it still is basically an at-large bid that
Yes.
could potentially be up for grabs.
Yes. They that game will probably determine that of who gets in of that winner or loser there. They play Baker County this week, but then they finish with Gaston County, which, Gaston County is tearing everybody up. So that we got to win out. We need a little bit of help, but I mean we're right there in the mix. And if you get into the playoffs, it's wide open. I mean everybody. I know I talked about Rains; they're kind of the dominant team in our region, but you never know once you get in the
Sure.
playoffs. And I would love to see Gabi again or Baker County again.
Absolutely.
Love to see any of them. So that's kind of the big picture goal. But we have to continue to keep our focus narrowed down on day-to-day preparation, and then go and get Atlanta Coast Friday.
Just go week by week.
That's it.
Go 1-0 each week.
That's it.
Unless the FHSAA makes you play 2 games in a week,
Wouldn't put it past them.
and they make you go 2-0 in a week. Well, Coach, turning the page a little bit there, some of the individual performances on the night. Thomas Sykes, you look at his stat line, it wasn't the best numbers he's put up as a Bulldog. Kind of these last couple weeks, we've been talking about how impressive number-wise he
Yep.
has looked, but nonetheless, I thought he was very efficient on the night. Wasn't asked to do too much, but
Yeah.
just managed the game really well and got the ball out to the playmakers in space.
Yeah, and that's when you have the running game going. You don't have to ask as much from the quarterback. So rushing for almost 200 yards, didn't really, have a big need as far as making a lot of big plays in passing game. And we were much better in pass pro. What was it? 1 sack. What did we give
1
up?
sack for 2 yards lost. Yeah.
Which was a huge difference
Sure.
from the week before. So, didn't play his best game, but he also, I think, outside of that first interception, didn't really hurt us. And that's the big thing. You may not throw for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, but do you control the game? Do you make good decisions? And if we got a punt, we got a punt. And we saw what AJ Hitt did with flipping the field with the field position. But again, that goes back to the running game and just shows you how important that is.
Well, you talk about that there, and I'll go ahead and jump into something I was going to say later on. That was such complimentary football there,
Yes.
as you hear the old saying, "I want every drive to end in a kick, whether it's a punt or a field goal or a PAT. I want it to end in a kick in
Yep.
one way or another." And so, talking about the drive that Swanee kind of had, where we got to about midfield, it kind of stalled out a little bit. AJ punts it down to the 3-yard line.
Yep.
So we think, okay, well, we didn't get points off that drive, but because the way the offense drove the ball to midfield, AJ with a
Oh yeah.
good punt, pinning them back. Defense forced a 3 and out. Next thing we know, we got a
Yes,
block
sir.
kick.
That's it. That's as good a complimentary football as you can have. And I think for this group of understanding that, okay, we didn't score offensively, but we flipped the field. We got a pin down deep. We knew going into the game that we had a chance to block a punt. So you just play the game. Every play is not going to be a home run play, but those 3 plays may set up a home run play. So you always got to be ready and you got to stay locked in. So I think with this, you know, pretty youthful team of them understanding that more and, not being worried about making the big play all the time. Just make the solid play, make the smart play, and then 5 plays later, it's probably going to pay off for us, which we saw that.
Well, and another thing too that's kind of maybe goes underrated or not talked about as much. Whenever your offense is on the field, guess what? Your defense is not on the
Absolutely.
field, so that allows your coaching staff to make adjustments, to sit down in front of the beautiful TV you had on the sideline
Yeah.
this past Friday night, and then just get a breather, get some water, sit on the bench, kind of relax for a second, and then go out there and be as close to full strength as you can be to go out there and make a play.
Yes, and the start of the game where we throw the interception, they get great field position. So that's what we call a sudden change, where defense, you're right back out there. They just had a big play, so now we got to respond. We got to get a big stop. And so we were able to get the turnover. Coy had a big hit, and Jadarius Horn was in on it as well. And then MJ returned it back to midfield. So things are going to happen. You got to respond. You got to get right back, force a turnover, make a punt. But just I think that shows. I think one some confidence that now defensively, okay, we've been in this situation where they get a quick sudden change and we get the stop and that so it's all for this group is the experience and the confidence, and we've been lacking that confidence. But I think Friday night we gained quite a bit.
Well, and picking up your guys too. You
Yes.
talk about complimentary football being there for your brothers in
Yep.
arms. It's kind of like, okay, well, hey, we know you guys didn't play the way you want to play on that drive. Don't worry, we'll pick you up. And the best thing about having a turnover cause against us is, well, we came right back and forced a turnover ourselves and put ourselves back in better field position
Yeah.
with the way MJ returned it past midfield.
Yeah, for sure. And I saw quite a bit of the encouragement from player to player. When we gave up the touchdown, I heard guys coming off, "Hey man, we're good. We're good. Keep your head up. Forget about it. Let's go." Again, that shows some maturity and some growth because early on in the season, I think we struggled with that. We dwelled on it, or we let that play impact the next drive. So that was promising and good to see. Is just the attitudes were much better. So that's again, you hate to go through a lot of rough patches and tough losses, but it does develop some good stuff that can pay off down the road, which I think we saw a little bit of that Friday.
And I think one of the most encouraging things to take away from that touchdown, like we talked about a little bit earlier, okay, it was a little bit of a fluke here and there, and by no means was that MJ's fault. There's
Right.
11
Oh
defenders
yeah.
out there. He's just
We
one
gotta
of
get
11.
pressure for
Unfortunately, he just happened to be the closest man to the ball whenever they take a
yeah.
deep shot on it. But the only reason why I'm bringing MJ's name up is because look at the very next play, coach. We go to line
Absolutely.
up to have
Huge.
them take the PAT. He blocks it. So again, that next play mentality,
Yes.
not letting anything affect him. The very next play after giving up a long touchdown, MJ's out there busting his butt around that edge, blocks for PAT, and
I,
we get to keep our lead a little bit
I
more.
think that's his third of the year. I think that's his third PAT or field goal block. And I'm telling you, that is not normal. It's for a high school kid to give up a touchdown and then have the pride and the resiliency to come back the very next play and not only give great effort, but go and make that play. Because the easy thing for him to do, or any kid in that situation, is to hang his head, to loaf on the next play, to feel sorry for himself. Like all those things, which you see more times than not. So the fact that he came in and blocked that kick, which is a huge, I mean, those are huge, those are points.
Absolutely.
That shows, one, the player that he is, but that type of attitude spreads. Like that type of fight and pushing through, that's the good stuff that you want to see everybody on the team have.
We'll be right back here on the Coach Show.
Hi, my name is Katherine Haney. My grandfather and my dad, Wes Haney, have been selling and servicing Chevrolets in the Swanee Valley area since 1968.
I'm here with my brothers, Weston and Jonathan. We want to tell you why Wes Haney Chevrolet is the best place to buy a car.
At Wes Haney Chevrolet comes down to two things: low prices and excellent customer service. You are a part of the family just as much as we are. Your happiness is my dad's first priority. He will always fight to make sure you get the best deal and the best experience.
My dad doesn't play games and he doesn't charge dealer fees, so we can always get you the best price. We have amazing incentives this month to put together a great deal on any Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. The best built, longest lasting vehicles on the road. We guarantee a better deal and customer experience than you can get anywhere else.
We would love to show you our beautiful selection of new and used vehicles. We are located in Live Oak, Florida on Highway 90 East. I can guarantee our dad will give you the best deal, and we are excited to earn your business.
This is Wes Haney, and as always, no dealer fees, no games. Come see my team at Wes Haney Chevrolet.
Coach, continue our conversation here with some of the individual performances from this past Friday night. We talked about the ground game and how that really got going. Jadarius Horn, 129 yards on the night, 2 touchdowns, a long run of 63 yards. That really kind of, for all intents and purposes, was that final nail in the coffin for this past Friday night. But it's great to see Jadarius back out there healthy and making a difference in the backfield.
Yes, it is. And as soon as we say that, he gets banged up. So he's probably going to be out this week. Not sure after that what it's looking like, but he played banged up for most of that game. I think in the first quarter, he got banged up, went out for a little bit, came back in, went back out, and then at halftime, at that point, if he was going to play, I was going to hold him off of defense and, whatever he could do offensively. But, man, that is a tough, tough kid. And, man, he was banged up early, came back. But just, man, he's just the type of toughness that you talk about. Like, he is a great example of that. Hoping that we can get him back. But, that last run he had, one, it was just a great execution up front, O-line, blocking. They went and drew that up in between series. Again, going back and being able to see some of that stuff on our sideline replay system, but went out and executed it perfectly. And he broke loose, ran, pulled away from the guy at the end, broke the tackle. But yeah, he played a really tough, hard-nosed game.
Well, the other guy that you see a lot in the backfield, kind of spell what Jadarius does, is Lou Jack Smith. I thought he ran the ball very hard, got north and south, didn't dance too much around the line of scrimmage, just made one cut, made a decision, and went upfield. And now he did take a hit there on his thigh as well. So what's an update with him?
Yeah, kind of the same situation. More than likely going to be out this week. We'll find out a little bit more, exactly what's going on with that injury. But, think of all the positions, we may have built some depth there with, whether it's MJ or Delwyn. Clay has been back there some. Maybe see Coy back there. But so it's going to be more by committee. Fred Cook's he was kind of that, that third back in that rotation, which he's been asked to do a lot defensively, been playing really well at free safety. So you're going to see all those guys for the time being, kind of chipping in and taking some of that load at running back. But I thought Lou and HD played really well and came back into the game after they got banged up. But hopefully we, get some good news this week on both those guys.
Well, good news for us is when MJ Rawson touches the football.
Absolutely.
And this past Friday night was no different. 67 receiving yards, 21 rushing yards, and another touchdown to his name. And on top of all that, Coach Hall, he was crowned homecoming king. How about that?
The king, yeah. He our kids were excited when he won it. But yeah, there's the impact plays that he made, the block kick, the touchdown run. Just the small plays that he makes or the plays that he takes away that you don't even see, just watching it live. He's just continues to show up Friday, every Friday, and just plays with a level head and goes out and just plays the game the way it's supposed to be played. But I mean, he's another one that just plays a ton of plays. So from the maintenance, taking care of your body, like this is the type of year where you've really got to be, get in the ice tub, ice down, get the recovery as well as you can. But it was a big night for old MJ.
And one of the things that has to be fun as a coaching staff, Coach Gaddy is the one that calls the plays for the offense, and so it's kind of him to scheme some things up. But it's got to be fun to find ways to get him the ball. And so one of the things that I thought was really cool this past Friday night was he starts off as a wide receiver, you send him in motion to get him into the backfield,
Yep.
and then you give him a handoff from there. So again, it's the eye discipline of the defense. It's on him. It's on them to figure out
sure.
where's number 5 at and where's he going. But, that's got to be fun as a coaching staff to find ways, okay, how can we get our playmakers the ball?
Oh yeah, it's fun to have players like that. Makes you look a little bit smarter as a play caller, but also just him being a decoy as well, where there's
Sure.
so much attention that is focused onto MJ. So if you look at like a Logan Brooks and look at the year he's had, and tight ends are naturally hard to cover anyways. They're kind of the forgotten guy on defense, especially when you have the playmakers that we have outside of him. So it's been fun to watch, and we want to continue to get better and make big plays and be efficient and force defenses to pick and choose. Whether it's we're going to load the box or okay, we're going to leave these guys one on one, and I believe we have the guys to take advantage of that. So it's we continue to progress, but it was really, I think, important for us to get that running game going the way we did Friday.
Switching over to the defensive side of the ball, T-Fed really coming into his own as a linebacker, really was laying some people out. I think the very first drive,
He
he was out there making some big time hits, and I thought this was one of his more impressive games so far.
It was just a sophomore. You know, starting at linebacker as a sophomore is probably the toughest position on the field. Because you're having to take on linemen. Meet running backs in the hole. You may be asked to cover. I mean, there's a lot that is required from a linebacker standpoint. And if you look at, when we lost Zakaris at the beginning, so now that you put, T-Fed, you put Jace, 2 sophomores, and then you still got Clay as the senior. But T-Fed is really, I mean, he's an old school kid. He's not the biggest. I mean, he's 100 and I don't know, 65 pounds, 70 pounds. But man, when he gets them hands on you, you ain't
You
going
won't feel
anywhere. And he runs his feet. He packs a punch with at point of contact. And man, he was all over the field. And he has a knack for, dipping under blocks, scraping over the top of linemen. But I thought he played his best game Friday. It was
The,
all over.
the law firm of Watson and Watson had another great showing this past Friday night.
Redheads.
Anything you can do, I can do better, right? Kind of situation. So Logan, he's given it his all there, despite some of the injuries he's
Yeah.
been battling through this year. It's great. It's just, I think, from an energy perspective, Logan just brings a little extra juice
He
to this
does.
defense and to this team. But then Tyler got himself an interception this past
Yeah, he
Friday
did.
night. Read the screenplay, stepped in front of it, and the first thing I did on the sidelines, I looked over at Logan. I said, "Well, now you got to get yourself one."
Yeah. Yep. That was they read the screen, which was something going in. They were a pretty good screen team, ran, quite a few different looks to set up their screens. And I think it was, I can't remember, second long, third long.
Yeah.
Um, he saw it and kind of felt it, and he drops back, which, you know, the old saying is you can't screen a lazy lineman. Well, he's not lazy by any means. He's very smart. So he gets his initial get off. He feels it, sees it, drops back. I mean, it was just an impressive play.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think he had the interception.
And he had the fumble recovery as well, right on the punt. Was that him that came away with that ball?
He was right there.
I tell you what, if there's a fumble, I think
Yes.
Watson's going to recover it.
Yeah, and he forced a fumble. They had 3 sacks. 3 or 4 sacks. So yeah, he had an incredible night. Again, another one of the sophomores. We had 8 sophomores at one time on the field defensively, which, man, I don't know if I've ever had that many young kids in starting positions. But and then Hunter, has been banged up since Madison, and then was able to come back probably quicker than we thought. Still isn't 100%, but he had a big sack, and he's getting back in the groove of things. But those two, they when they're going and they're healthy and fully charged, those are 2 good players. And you mentioned Logan Brooks, he just gets after it. I mean, in every phase of the game, he's a gritty player. So it's been cool to see Brooksy have the type of year, because he's been with us 4 years and has put in a lot of good time. So very, very proud of Brooksy.
Nice to see them get their shine for sure. Clay Starling had a huge block
Yep.
punt on the evening, and I'm not sure where this young man came from, Coach, but Kyle Brown was a name that
Yeah.
I did not have on my roster on the sideline, but I'd learned that name very quickly on Friday night, and he was out there making some plays and had an impact performance this past Friday.
He did. We had a pin back, and we had set up, our return. But at that point, we decided, hey, let's send some pressure, because we knew their snap wasn't great, and their punter, just took forever for it to get off. And punt block is one thing we work about every day, taking it off the foot. I mean, there's a lot of technique that goes with it. And Clay had a great get off. We call it getting skinny. He dipped his shoulder and got past that second line and took it right off the foot. And then on top of that, let's don't be satisfied there. Let's score on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle Brown was heads up and found the ball. So Kyle has been one that's coming along. He's been on all special teams, and you're going to start seeing more and more on offense and defense. But that was a huge play. There's nothing like a block punt. It's one of my favorite plays in football.
Especially when the ball's just
When we're
rolling around in
blocking.
the end zone too. I
Yes.
mean, you can get 6 off of that as
Oh, man, I
well.
was like, please.
I mean,
please
worst
let
case
us get
scenario
that.
is we got 2 points and we're getting the ball.
Yes.
I mean, that
Yeah.
was the worst case scenario for us in that situation.
Yeah. The 6 point, that was big.
It helped. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the 6
Oh,
than the
yeah.
2.
All day.
Well, Coach, like we talked about, we're heading over to Atlantic Coast this Friday night. It will be a 6:30 kickoff, so the pregame show will start at 6 o'clock on rivercountrysports.com. Atlantic Coast is 3-5 on the season, but what can we expect from Atlantic Coast?
They're going to throw the ball based off of the films that we have broken down. They want to throw it, and they're going to throw it a lot. Probably when we broke down the Creekside, they're 80% throwing the ball. They do have a good running back. He's kind of a stocky kid, quick feet, runs it hard. Doesn't have the best blocking scheme in front of him. And they run a lot of stuff we've seen, counter, a little bit of power, some trap. But they want to throw it. And when I tell you they throw a lot of different route combos, I bet there was 30 different plays in the passing game out of 2 games, and that's a lot. So the quarterback, he's good. If I had to compare him, maybe Baker County's quarterback, just throws it, I think, a little bit better. Similar running style, and then a receiver. They've got some quickness, some shift. So secondary is going to get tested. I believe we can get pressure on them, and that'll be big to make that quarterback uncomfortable. And then defensively, they're going to be man to man. They're going to press you, get up in your face, bring pressure. So, not a ton as far as different schemes and coverages, but they're going to get after you, and they're a little bit similar to us from as far as how their season has gone. They've been in close games. They've lost some close ones, done some things that have hurt them. So we got to make sure that we don't hurt ourselves, that we put the pressure on them early, and then continue to learn how to finish and go over there to Duval and get a dub.
For us to come away with the win, what's one thing we're going to have to do successfully?
Who? I think
It's a
special.
loaded question.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, but I really believe special teams, like, we have to dominate that phase of the game, and I believe we can. There's just some things that they do that don't look to be very sound, So that's an area that I believe if we can dominate that from field position to blocking a kick, returning a kick, I believe that sends so many good things to offensively with the field position. Defensively, if we get ahead in the game and we force them, to be one dimensional, we can, send the pressure. So I believe it starts there, and then turnovers. We've got to force them. I think we had two Friday. They're having against Baker County. So our goal is always at least two. Anything past that is great, but we also have to eliminate, whether it's interceptions, putting the ball on the ground. So I would say special teams, and then defensively, getting some interceptions more so because of how often they're going to throw the ball.
Well, Coach Hall, best of luck to you and
Yes,
your
sir,
team.
TJ.
Again, 6:30 kickoff, pregame show starting at 6 o'clock on rivercountrysports.com. Thank you to Hardee's of Live Oak for providing our delicious meal for the Coaches Show. Thank you to Howard Street Dry Cleaners for sponsoring the Bulldog Bark and the Blast from the Past. A big thank you to our show sponsor, West Haney Chevrolet, located in the heart of Bulldog Country, Live Oak, Florida. Join us next Monday at 7 o'clock on River Country Sports for the next Coaches Show. He's Coach Kyler Hall. I'm TJ Vickers. Good night, and as always, go Dogs.